Greetings, humans. I'm Andrei. Welcome back to the Windmill full of corpses. I'm here with the wonderful Michalina from Lyrre.
Hello.
Thank
Hi,
you for
hi.
joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you so much. We just played some summer shows with leaders, some festivals, and now we have like a month of rest before we play another festival, and then the shows go on in fall. So yeah, feeling quite good. Thank you.
Awesome. Keeping busy. Okay,
Yeah.
so to get right into it, because Lyrre is a very young band, you put out your debut album just a few months ago. I actually want
Yeah.
to hear the backstory. Can you let me know how did the idea for the band show up and how did you guys come together and started making
Yeah.
music?
Yeah, sure. So, Lira started because me and my husband Piotr, who plays the guitar in Lira and also composes songs, we wanted to make a band together for a few years already. So it started way before we actually started writing songs for the band and so on. And in 2020, when we were in lockdown, we actually, for the first time, we had enough time to actually do something about it. So to start writing songs, start writing lyrics, start thinking about who we want in the band and so on regarding the musicians, like what the lineup will be, what instruments we want to have, and so on. And it was interesting because Piotr has a lot of experience with writing music, but I didn't have any. So I didn't write any music before Lira. I didn't write any lyrics. I was always interested in literature and poetry and stuff like that. And I studied literature a little bit, but I never actually wrote anything like this. And one time, when I was I'm so okay, so this is a little bit of a side story, but we also have a workshop where we build hurdy-gurdies and we sell them, and I make videos for the customers presenting the instrument that is ready to go. So I was just playing something for this video, like just a random melody, and then Piotr came from the other room and he said, "Hey, it's actually good. I like it. You should do something with it." And I was like, "No way. I don't write songs. I'm not the person who will write songs because I never did it before." And he said, "Yeah, you should continue." So I was very encouraged, and this is actually how Call in the Wind started. Yeah.
Really?
That was my first song. My first ever song was Call in the Wind, and I love it so much. It's great. And the experience was amazing as well because it was very it was just a magical experience to write the song for the first time. And then I learned that I actually can do it. So hey, let's do something with it. Let's start a band and let's just go with it. So at the beginning we also wanted to find uh, a male vocalist for Lire. We had this idea that we want a male voice in our band, but we did some searching and we talked with some people and we even like did it was not like an audition or anything like this, but some people just sung something over our demos, and we're like, yeah, maybe not. And Piotr was always convinced that I should sing. I didn't want to, and I couldn't. So then I had to learn how to sing, and that was just a long process before we could even record the demos because we needed vocals for the demos and so on and so forth. So yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. And then finally, when we had the demos ready, we knew Miłosz, our bass player from before. He was working with us before, even when I was doing the Five Riffs videos on my YouTube channel. So we did know each other. And then he recommended Tomasz, our drummer, and he said that he will probably be interested in the band, and he was. So he joined us, and we didn't really know each other before, and we just actually the funny thing is that it's been 3 years since we started working on the album, and now is the time that we are actually starting to get to know each other as people. When we started playing shows together, where when we had to go on a trip that was like 14 hours, then you're stuck in the car together and you just get to know each other. So that's how it was for us. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a really nice story. So basically for the whole time that you were writing the album, you were pretty much co-workers but didn't grow to a point where you'd really know each other and be friends.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we played rehearsals, and of course we knew each other because we were in the studio together, but At one point, I think, or maybe at some point, when you meet somebody and you are already like a little bit, I don't want to say that 25 or 7 or 8 is older, but you already have a job, you already have some responsibilities, you have other friends, you have other projects. It's like sometimes you don't really even have the time, even if you want to spend the time like outside of the rehearsals, because the rehearsals already take a lot of time. So it's like, yeah, now is the time that we are actually having fun together and like drinking beer and spending the time and talking, and yeah, that it's now and it's great, so I'm happy.
I relate so much to what you're saying. I'm still doing my studies, and that whole life eating up all your
Yeah.
hours in the day is really happening already.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you said you never composed before Lyrre.
Yeah.
Do you have any professional musical background? Like, did you do any sort of music school, or
Hmm.
are you self-taught?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I went to, so in Poland you can do a music school, like when you are in the regular school, I guess. So when you go to elementary school, you can also go to the music school, and it's in the afternoons. So you just go after school, you go there. And it's 12 years, the entire process. So when you start education at 7 until like 19, you can do the regular school and you can do the music school at the same time. And this is what I did. And I played first, I started with the piano, but after 2 years I changed to the flute, and the remaining 10 years I played the flute. And I had classes about music theory, music history, like analysis of the piece, uh, ear training. That was a very important one. So I really had a lot of experience from this side, like the theoretical side and just analytical side. And also that was all classical music, so I played many classical pieces. So i I was a musician. I could read sheet music. I understood what I'm hearing when I was listening to music, but I somehow didn't know that I can write my own. That was the thing. That was the thing. And before, maybe I was trying like once or twice throughout my life, but I was never happy with it, and I never got it. Like I was never like, oh, this is fun. No, I was just trying, but it didn't really click before. And yeah, now those 3 years ago, it clicked finally.
Well, I can certainly say I'm glad it clicked because the result paid off.
Thank you.
Okay, so can you give me some insight into what writing the album was actually like? How did you
Hmm.
work together? How did you come up with the songs? Was it a structured process? Was it very spontaneous and however it came? Like,
Hmm.
hit me.
Yeah. Um, songs were started by me. And some of the songs were started by Piotr. Some of the songs are like recycled a little bit because there were old songs that he wrote for his previous band, and we changed them. Like we just turned them upside down, and then we incorporated it for Lyrre. And I think our best songs and my favorites are the ones where we just worked together, where Piotr started and he wrote the riffs, and then I worked on it with the vocals and the lyrics and the hurdy-gurdy lines and the production, because I also produced part of the album. So I think these songs, they turned out best in my opinion. And now we just keep working like this because we are already writing new songs right now, and that's how we, yeah, that's how we do it now. So Piotr is starting with an idea, because I work better if I have something to some reference, and he works very well with just a blank canvas. So he starts and then I take over and I make it a song kind of, and this is how we work. And then we also of course have input from Miłosz and from Tomasz, and Tomasz is writing drums and Miłosz is working on the bass lines, or we write them for them, or yeah. So this is how it works for us.
Really nice. I totally relate to not having the creativity to start something from scratch. Almost
Mhm.
everything I try to do, I need some external nudge of inspiration before I can get going.
Yeah,
And not
yeah,
only with
yeah.
creative stuff, by the way. Um, okay. Um, I want to ask you a bit about what instruments were recorded on the album, because of course there's the
Hmm.
bass guitar, hurdy-gurdy vocals, but
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think there's more that went into it based on how it sounds. There's a symphonic elements, choirs,
Yeah.
um, I think some electronic elements, and there's also this strange folky string instrument that shows up at the end of the Crown video.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
how many instruments are actually on the album? What's it fully composed of?
So except for the band, so as for that's like you said, drums, guitar,
Mhm.
bass, hurdy-gurdy, vocals. We have strings, we have brass instruments, so trombones, horns, all that stuff. I played the flute, I recorded the flute. You can hear it in Valley of Tears, for example. In the bridge, there is a flute melody there. The choirs I recorded mostly by myself, but sometimes I think in Peaceful Chaos there is a part recorded by Tomasz as well, because he can sing too. So that was us together, and the instrument that Piotr is playing at the end of Crown is buzuki. So
Oh,
it's Irish buzuki, yeah. And also we have some tracks that include the harp and some percussion instruments. So that's mostly the intro, Not All Who Dream Are Asleep. And then the electronics. So there is like production on Not All Who Dream Are Asleep is like, it could be just a separate album. I think we could make the album just out of the productions that we made for that, because we really wanted those songs to be like, to be massive and to have like pop level production. And working with Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens was a massive help for us. So not only did he do an amazing job with writing the production for 4 songs on the album, but also I could learn so much from him that later I was able to just do it by myself. So the stuff that he sent us was so inspiring, and so there's a lot of, I would say, um how should I say it? It was just like an educational experience for me to work with him. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot going on this album. Yeah. I don't know how
definitely
many.
like all the flavors. And as a
Yeah.
listener, when you don't know all the components and you just hear the full mix, it sounds really massive. It sounds,
Mhm.
especially if you listen in headphones and you get to hear all the details,
Yeah.
it's something that you can really dig into and listen to a lot of times.
Amazing.
Um, I You mentioned now that you worked with someone from Bad Omens. I'm not very familiar
Yeah.
with the band. Are they along the lines of modern metal, metalcore, that area of?
So they are a metalcore. Well, they used to be a metalcore band. Now they are more like on the edge of alternative electronic influenced by metal,
Mhm.
this type of thing. Also a lot of pop influences on their last album. So I was listening to them for a few years before, and they were, for a period of time, they were my favorite band. And
Wow.
yeah. So I was following the singer and the band on Instagram, and once we were already working on the album at this time, and he posted something that, hey, I have some slots open for productions. If you want me to work with you, just let me know. And I was like, okay, I want to work with you. And we sent him the ideas, the demos, everything, and he agreed. And I was like, okay, that's amazing, because I love your band and I love the production that you're doing on your albums, and it's just, I love it so much. And we were working together on Call in the Wind, North Star, Crown, and Divide and Conquer.
Mhm.
And he was mostly involved in Call in the Wind because he helped me build the song, so build the song structure, and he also helped with the lyrics. And I think he did an amazing job with this song. And yeah, so I love it even more because of that. And I was just so happy that we could work together, because 2 years later, he dropped an album that is now massive. So they went from like, I don't know, like a mid-level band
Mhm.
to a rising star. really. I mean, they are a star of the scene right now. They are playing sold out tours, and the shows are amazing. We went to one in Warsaw this year, so I'm just really happy that I had the chance to work with him before all this fame, because now it would be impossible, I think, because, well, who has the time
Yeah.
to do all of this. But yeah, I think it was like the perfect window, and we worked together, and I'm just happy forever about it.
That's really nice. Okay, I guess I have to listen to them because I've been hearing their name for at least over a year now.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason why I never got into it is because when you're into doing things like reactions or album reviews or things like
Hmm.
this, which I like to do a lot, you're bombarded by so much music that you
Yeah.
just can't.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes. I
so
see
I
your point.
basically go selectively for what I'm specifically interested in.
Hmm.
Um, Now, the reason why I was asking you about him, and this is actually not scripted, it just kind of occurred to me
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
you were talking about it, is because, and the reason why I asked you why it's whether it's metalcore related is because what strikes me as the main idea with Lyrre is
Hmm.
that folk metal so far has been mostly pretty raw heavy metal or death metal with the
Hmm.
folk elements added. And
Yeah.
it worked for it to be really raw because it had, like Elevati, for example, you would
Yeah.
know, had the whole aesthetic of essentially bringing back the past. But with Lyrre,
Hmm.
it feels like the folk elements are brought into something that sounds really modern,
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
towards the metalcore, maybe even genty area.
Hmm.
And the first time I ever thought about that was actually when you covered Monuments on Hurdy. Like, I had
Yeah.
never thought that would be a thing. Was this intentional, or is it
Yeah.
just? Oh,
Yeah. So we wanted our sound to be modern. We didn't want it to be similar to other bands that incorporate folk elements in their music. And I really fell in love with music production. And music production is like electronic music, pop music. Those are the genres that mostly rely on this type of production nowadays. So, and I really like to do it. I don't know, that's like my favorite part of making a song. So that it's obvious for me that it's there, and it will be there in the future as well, because that's the thing that inspires me the most. It's not the writing of the riffs, it's not the writing of the hurdy-gurdy lines, it's not even the vocals. It's just mixing all of this together. And I think the hurdy-gurdy was never presented in such context before, because it's, as you say, it's a very kind of archaic instrument, even
mhm.
though it comes from the Middle Ages, so it's not an ancient instrument, but it has this air about it. And it was just put in context that of course makes sense, but now it was just done a lot of for a lot of times. And I think it's maybe time for something a little bit more modern, because I would just love to show this side of the hurdy-gurdy, because the hurdy-gurdy is not only folk, it's not only the traditional music, it's not only medieval. You can do way more with it, and Lyrre is just the arena for us to make it happen. So yeah, the modern influences are definitely our we are like we did it on purpose. That's our choice, how we want to present the band. Yeah.
That's a really nice idea. I expect people will catch on to that really quick, especially given how
Cool.
popular this sort of modern metal is nowadays.
Mm.
And another reason why I think it works actually is because in most folk metal bands there are so many instruments, so many folk
Yeah.
instruments that it's so hard to like cram five different folk
Yeah.
instruments into a solo section just to sort of make the recipe work. But
Hmm.
with you
Hmm.
guys, because you're just a four piece and you have the hurdy-gurdy as the centerpiece, it
Hmm.
leaves a
Hmm.
lot of room to actually just write properly balanced songs. And that
Yeah.
that was another impression I got off your album that I don't
Hmm.
get off a lot of
Yeah.
folk metal
Yeah.
albums.
Yes.
They're focused on being folky more than focused on being good music a lot of the times.
The shade.
Hmm?
The shade.
I
Uh,
I mean, I'm not criticizing it. I actually like it, but that's something that struck me when I heard your album.
cool.
Um,
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that you noticed that, because it was definitely a deliberate choice. Yeah.
Um, okay, so and now I'm gonna switch off a bit from the whole
Hmm.
creativity because I want to ask you about the Kickstarter you had. when
Hmm.
you actually announced the album. So
Yeah.
if I recall correctly, you smashed your initial goal and two stretch goals.
I think we did one stretch goal.
Mhm.
It was the base fundraising, and then we had two stretch goals, but we got to the first one. But anyways, it was like way more interest than we ever expected. It was just completely crazy. Yeah. It was very quick as well, because we opened the Kickstarter and after a week I think we already hit the goal. So that was completely unexpected, and I didn't really think there will be so much interest in our music. So yeah, especially because we only had one song out at the
Mhm.
time. But it was amazing. It was just such a great opportunity for us to connect with the fans of the band, and also to just give them something before we even had the album fully written and arranged, and so it was just very overwhelming. Yeah.
I would certainly say that a part of why it was so successful must have also been your presence in Hurdy,
Oh yeah,
because
for
it's a
sure.
really big band, and
Yeah.
that's why I even know you guys exist as a
Hmm.
band.
Hmm.
And it's also why I ended up participating in the crowdfund, which of course I'm
Hmm.
very proud of.
Thank
Um,
you. Thanks. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So I've been in the internet for 10 years, or next year. So 9. I started my YouTube channel in 2014. So for all this time, I think that it was just enough time for people to get to know me a little bit, and then I was in Helvetii, so that was a huge thing for me and just for my musical career, and it probably did like half of the job or even more for the crowdfunding, because we were already a little bit more well known in the community. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. That's a very interesting uh, story. Now I want to get a bit into videos because you have a lot
Hmm.
of them. You have
Yeah.
5 videos. I'm always interested when I see videos, and especially when they're really cool and in nice locations like yours, if
Mhm.
there are any funny or unpleasant or exciting stories that you can share from recordings.
Yeah, I would have to think, because every video has a little bit of a story. So, for example, in Divide and Conquer, the we are filming in two different locations, so in two different castles, and we somehow managed to get into both of them for free. So that was that was amazing.
Wow.
I don't even know how it happened. It was just like people knew people, and then we were like, "Can we do this?" And they were like, "Maybe you have to pay us a little bit." And they were like, "No, we know this person." And it was just in the end, it was a miracle that we could get there for free, but we did. And then with the others, I mean, there's no particular story with North Star. We just went to a location, we filmed, and that was it. But with Crown, we filmed in a huge cave. So it's a cave near our place where we live, because we live in Kraków, and there is a lot of there's a lot of oh, what are they called? I don't even know. Well, there's a lot of caves, and it's just the area that has a lot of hills and mountains and so on. So there's a lot of very pretty landscapes. And Chariot of Sun was actually filmed on top of a mountain, and there is a ski resort right next to it. So we were filming, and then sometimes we got the drone was catching the people skiing downhill sometimes. So it was like this nice, pristine, clean scenery I was playing, and then the people who are just skiing downhill. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was extremely cold for many of those videos, and I think I will not film in such temperatures anymore. Yeah, I won't do it anymore. But it was fun and it was worth it. So yeah, I'm happy
Next
about it. Yeah.
album needs more of a summer energy.
Yeah, please. Warm places. Exactly.
Okay. Also about videos, this I was really curious about. North Star, Call in the Wind, and Chariot of Sun are all essentially performance videos. But
Yeah.
for Divide and Conquer and Crown, you have a bit of a story happening in the video.
Hmm.
And I'm a bit
Hmm.
curious about the symbolism. So what I saw in Divide and Conquer
Hmm.
is a character who I assume represents the king
Yeah.
is called to a chess game,
Hmm.
and then he gets angry, which I assume means he loses the chess game.
Hmm.
And then someone who looks like the queen, I assume
Hmm.
again, is also invited to the chess game.
Yeah, so the
And
idea, yeah, go on. So
I was
so
gonna speculate about what I think the idea is,
okay, so you
and then
tell me
you.
first. You tell me
Okay,
first.
so my interpretation is essentially that in Divide and Conquer, if you want to tear down a social structure or an entire society, you do
Hmm.
it bit by bit. You separate key components, like key participants, and then you defeat them somehow. And that's what I
Hmm.
assume the chess game represents. Is that you take the king that's sort of a pillar and you get him somewhere where there's a loan, and then you, I don't know, terminate him or something. But that's how
Uh-huh.
I interpreted the symbolism. Am I in any way accurate?
Yeah, I think you're well, of course this is like everybody has their own interpretation and there's no wrong or right or wrong interpretation. Um and you are close. So you are close to what we were thinking when we
Mhm.
were filming the video. And when we did the story, first of all, it was hard to show in the video, but the woman, she's not a queen, she's the sister of the king. And the king is horrible. And she sees that he is a bad king. So she is like conspiring with this guy who played chess with the king. He's like, I don't know, his advisor, I think I would say.
Oh.
So she conspires with the advisor to kill the king because he's horrible, and it will be much better if she is the queen because she will be a good queen. So she kills her brother, and then she becomes the queen. And then she sees how little of an idea she had about reigning and about being a queen, and it's horrible again because she cannot do it. And then she ends up playing the same game of chess with the advisor. So the person who plays everyone is actually the advisor. And he's ruling the kingdom, you know, as it usually is in movies and in stories and in books. That's the person who is reigning, right? Who's the true ruler. So yeah, it's in the music video. We just wanted to show that sometimes, even though you change something, it doesn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the person who's ruling the kingdom changed, uh, well, at least in theory, because the advisor was always the one who was changing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was also the lyrics of the song um, are not really. So the music video and the song itself, they are like two different things. So the music video has a different story, and the lyrics, when I think about them, they have a little bit of a different story too, because they are just about how easily we get distracted nowadays. So the line "King's dead, long live the king" is just about the new thing that we are interested in. The old thing is dead to us. We are pursuing the new thing, and it's like we cannot really get focused in life and do what we really want to do because there's the next thing, there's this thing, there's social media. It's especially connected with social media, I think. So yeah.
Now you're directly calling me out on my behavior.
It's my behavior too. That's the song about me and about all of us, actually. Yeah, so this song is definitely a call out to myself, to yeah, to many people. So yeah, but I think it was good to just play this imagery a little bit, play with this imagery a little bit in the video clip of the kingdom and the yeah.
Yeah, it turned out really well, and it
Thanks.
got the medieval aspect really nice.
Thank you. Yeah. That's what we were going for. Yeah, at the time at least.
Yeah. Okay, while we're at the topic of videos, I also want to get into Crown a bit because I'm not sure exactly where I read this, but I think you mentioned somewhere on your social media that the song is essentially about the story of Persephone from Greek
Yeah, yeah,
mythology.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I have my interpretation about the symbolism in the video for that one as well, but maybe I'll let you rant for this one.
Oh, actually, no. We can discuss this because it's as we said before, everyone has their own interpretation, and that's what's great about it. You can just see it as you and interpret it as you want. So we can have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't remember all the details of the story, but what I do know about, uh, I know sort of the main plot line of the Persephone story. So
Yeah, yeah.
essentially, when it starts, you have Kore, who is the daughter of Demetra, who's the goddess of crops and weather and
Yeah,
whatever. I'm not sure.
agriculture. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Hades falls in love with Kore and kidnaps her and takes her underground.
Yeah.
Um, and then her mother goes mad and calls the storms and everything, and all the crops
Mm-hmm.
die, and there's a chaos on Earth, and uh, essentially life disappears. So something
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done about that. Kore is trapped in the underworld, and she like ends up eating a forbidden fruit, which I think is the pomegranate. So that would be the line, um, I took the darkness in.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be where she eats the fruit. And then, because all the gods don't know what to do because her mother's
Going
losing
crazy.
her mind and destroying everything, they got to
Yeah.
negotiate with Hades to figure out some alternative so that the entire system of existence doesn't collapse into chaos. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they come up with this agreement where half the time she's above the ground, and that would end up being the spring and the summer, where we have warmth and crops and all that. And then half the year she's underground, and her mother is mad and calls the winds and the rains and everything, and we have autumn and winter. And I really love the story. And what I
Yeah.
was gonna go with about the video is that I interpret the three phases, first being above the ground, then being underground, and then compromising for the
Mm-hmm.
half as the three phases of the crown that you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
The first
Mm-hmm.
crown is all flowers and leaves,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
second crown is all bones, the third one is
Yes.
50-50.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. So first of all, I agree with you. This story is completely it's probably one of my favorite stories of Greek mythology because it's just so emotional and there's so much in it. And when I was writing those lyrics and this song, I was thinking about how did she feel when everything like when this happened to her, because at one moment you are just a happy girl uh outside with your mother and it's springtime or summer and it's all amazing, and then you just get kidnapped. So in the I think in another version of the myth, it's just she is raped. So she there's I think there's even a painting called the rape of Persephone or something like this. So then she ends up in this I imagine the underworld is quite disgusting, like there are dead souls there and the
Yeah.
and Hades, and it's just like a horrible place, and she needs to deal with it, and she just needs to work through this trauma. And that's what the song is about. Like she ends up in this situation. She's not It's not her fault that this happened to her, but she needs to find enough strength in herself to kind of not be defeated by this situation. And she has this strength inside, and she kind of transforms her fate, and she becomes the queen of the underworld. So it's just the three phases where she is there in this flower crown is like she just got into the underworld like a second ago. It just happened, and she's scared and confused and doesn't know what's going on. And there are the characters following her. So this is like those are like the souls, the servants of Hades,
Yeah.
and they take her, and she has to deal with this horrible situation. So that's the scene where she's wearing the bone crown, and then she integrates both worlds. So she is able to just transform her suffering into something greater than herself. Oh my god, this is like wow.
Yeah.
I'm just talking
You're
about my
talking
own
about?
songs about my own songs for like half an hour now. But it's just I just find it so inspiring, and it I don't know, it's just a great story, and it can be interpreted in many different ways, and that's just one of the interpretations. And I'm extremely happy with how it turned out, because I really wanted to write a song about it, and Crown is like it's I really like it. I really like it. Yeah.
Wow. Now it got me thinking, because I tend to think a lot about things from a psychological perspective,
Mm-hmm.
what the symbolism would map out into in real life. And there's this theory in psychology that hell is essentially the constant reiteration in your head of the moment you regret most, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the most horrible thing you've been through in your life. So I essentially like to think of the underworld as the collective of people who are stuck in the past, essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
what those people end up doing is they project that past onto someone else and interact with them
Mm-hmm.
as if they
Mm-hmm.
were the past. And then what basically what Kore, now Persephone, ends up doing in that way is she carries the suffering of the lost ones who are
Mm-hmm.
sort of lost in the past. So it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
curse, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also essentially a moral duty that keeps the two worlds from colliding and hell from unleashing. So it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she essentially has a crucial role in maintaining the natural order of things in balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how I see this myth as well. It's not only explaining why we have four seasons, it's also like it shows how to, maybe not how, but it shows that just going beyond this tragedy that happens to you is possible. It's like it's possible to just emerge out of this and be like, okay, now I have to deal with this. Now I have those two worlds, and I need to be in both of them. So I definitely also interpret it from a psychological perspective. Yeah. So I agree on that with you totally.
Okay, I'm glad our interpretations are so close to each other.
Yeah, they are similar. Yeah.
Now, since we got into symbolism and psychology from lyrics, I also want to get into my favorite song on the album, which is "Call in the Wind," and I actually
Yeah.
relate it to Crown quite well because
Mhm,
I
mhm,
mentioned in Crown about people essentially being stuck in the worst moments of their past.
mhm,
"Call in the Wind" looks to me like a call to let go, and
mhm,
I think so many people are stuck in moments or in frustrations or in resentment that they're essentially clinging on to on their own, that they could
mhm.
let go and they could be freed.
Yeah.
So that's why this song hit me on the most personal level. And I have people like that in my life that I have already sent that song to, and I told them, like, "Look, read these lyrics."
Oh,
And
great. Thanks.
yeah, I just wanted to let you know that
Mm, mhm, mhm.
it's why I was a bit disappointed that you didn't play it live when I saw you.
Oh, where was it? It was in oh, I know. It was in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was because we had horrible technical issues, and it was not possible, unfortunately, to do this song with those types of issues. So yeah, but next time we are coming back to the Netherlands this fall in November. So
It's also a
uh
festival, right?
yes,
Brainstorm, I
brainstorm.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope then we will manage to play Clonderwin. Yeah.
I I will see if I make it to that one, but would sure like to.
Okay. Yeah, we will see. We will see. Well, yeah, Colin the Wind. So as I mentioned before, part of the lyrics was written by Noah, and he wrote the first verse. So the chorus was already written. I wrote it before, and then he was just he was just kind of doing his own interpretation with the verse. And I think it just influenced the rest of the song, because the song is about that we are calling the wind. We are there 1 second, and the next second we are gone. And so first of all, it's sad and it's tragic, but at the same time, it just gives you the motivation to do something with the time that you have.
Yeah.
And also in the verses, there are those lyrics. Okay, now I cannot. Without the melody, I cannot say the lyrics. I don't
The
remember
second
them.
verse always hits me. Is this what you've always wanted? Is this what you really need?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it. Oh my gosh, I can't.
There's
Is
freedom
this
in
what you've
letting go.
always wanted?
Let
Is it what you really need? There's freedom. There's freedom in letting go. So let it set you free. So yeah, that's freedom. If you can let go, if you're not constrained by your circumstances, but also by your own desires and hopes, and like, I really hope this will happen, and I really want this to happen. It's like, if you let it go, you are free. If you don't let it go, then you are just always influenced by those things. And that's just something that I battle a lot. Is like, I'm such an overthinker, and I just live in my head. I sometimes I get out of my head, but my life is in here. And I just have to remind myself, okay, you cannot just think your life through. You have to live it, and you have to let go, and you have to let go of the control. You have to let go of the hope. It's like, what is going to happen, it's going to happen. And this song is about it, that we are just very fragile, and we have a limited time, and we just have to relax and live our life. So this song is also a message to myself, very much, very much. It's a message to myself. Yeah. So I'm happy that you enjoy it and that you like the lyrics, because it's very important for me for the lyrics to be meaningful.
Yeah. I think it often happens that when you call yourself out in your lyrics, you end up calling out most people.
That's true. Yeah, we are all very, very similar in some ways. So yeah, that's true.
Nice. I like how what we're talking about keeps going right into the next question I had planned. So we were talking about
Awesome.
calling the wind and how you
Hmm.
didn't play it live, and that actually gets me into what I wanted to ask next, which is concerts. So you played a few shows since the album came out. I'm not sure how
Hmm.
many, but it's your first shows as a band.
Yeah.
What was the experience like? Are you pleased with how it's going? Do you
Hmm.
feel like you're still struggling to figure it out? Is there anything you want to do better? What's it like being on stage?
Well, we played, I think, 5 shows so far as a band. So we started playing shows in April this year, and all of us had previous stage experience. So Piotr with his previous band, and Miłosz and Tomasz as well. I, of course, was on stage for a few years with Elvati, but this is so different. It's extremely different to me when I'm playing with Lyrre, because now not only do I need to sing and play, but I also need to talk with the audience and like communicate things, and that's difficult. I think this is the most difficult part for me, like just kind of running the show. I don't know. I really need to work on it and just develop my ability to do it. I think it's okay. It's not horrible, but it's like nowhere near good either. And with singing, it's very hard for me. It was very hard for me to learn how to sing, and I wanted to give up many times. It's not natural to me at all. Some people just sing since they are kids, and it's very natural to them. For me, it still is a lot of work to learn the songs, to sing in pitch, and to just think about all those things at the same time. So far, for me personally, the shows are a little bit overwhelming, because I do many things and I have to do a lot of them. Um it's just a fresh experience, and I don't really have a lot of previous knowledge to fall on. Fortunately, with the hurdy-gurdy, I have some previous experiences. So this is like, that's sorted. This I know I can do. I did it for many years, and it's fine. But singing talking, playing and singing at the same time, just being on stage, existing on stage, that's new for me. So as a front person, front woman or a singer. So yeah, that's new for me. And I think it will still take some time for me to be like relaxed about the show and how it goes, and that I do everything in the correct order and then everything works out. It will take me a few more shows. And I cannot speak for the rest of the band, but I think their experiences were positive as well. And we really need to play more shows to just start working as one organism on stage, because it's one thing to play rehearsals, and rehearsals are different than shows because shows are actually way more stressful and so on. So I think it will just come with time that we kind of get together and start, yeah, just working as one entity. So yeah, even though it doesn't really feel like it yet, I'm absolutely sure that we are on the way to be this one entity. And yeah, it's been just 5 shows, so it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have a lot to learn, but also I'm very, very happy how the shows turned out so far. And with every show, I'm learning something new, and I really appreciate it. And I'm very happy about it, that with every show, I get a new information or a piece of information I can just integrate, and I know what to do a little bit more with every next show. So that's, yeah, I think it's a generally positive experience.
It sounds kind of like what I would expect. When you
Yeah.
start something new like this, it can't be easy, and of course it's overwhelming. But I gotta say, from how I've seen you live, you're handling it pretty damn good. Like, it was visible that you're
Thanks.
a starting band, and you're not like when Elevate or Amorphous or Amon Amarth goes on stage and they've been doing it for 20 years every day, so they're
Yeah.
just chill. But everything went really nice, and I was really engaged into the show, and I had a great time. So as an audience member, I can say you're definitely on the right track.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's very reassuring. Thank you.
All right. Last thing I want to get into, or is it the last thing? Give me 1 second. Right. Yeah. The last topic I want to talk to you about is your online store, where
Yeah.
you sell a lot of things. Initially, I thought it was just a hurdy-gurdy store, but then I saw there's a lot of instruments and also your merch and everything going on there.
Yeah.
How did you get an idea to make your own instruments? What exactly is your participation in them? Because I assume you don't make all of them yourself.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. So that was actually my husband's idea. One day he was like, I want to build hurdy-gurdies. And I was like, you're completely crazy and out of your mind, and it's impossible to build a hurdy-gurdy. And
I mean, they exist.
they exist, but it's impossible. If you want to build it, it's like it's so many things that you need to know and think about, and it's like I was like, no way. That was in 2018, I think. And he was like, no, I want to build one, and he did. So he built a hurdy-gurdy, and I was like, he is he's an engineer, so he is an audio engineer, but it's just, I think this engineering skill is like extrapolated to his other skills, and he managed to do it. I was just, my mind was blown when he built this instrument. So we are working together with another workshop, so with another luthier who already had experience with building guitars. So he is helping us, and it's yeah, now we have a company that it's like around 20 people working in this company, and it's I think it's the only one in the world that builds hurdy-gurdies like this, because what is the traditional way is there's a luthier and maybe he has apprentices or something like this, but it's not really a company, it's not really like a manufacturer, and we run a hurdy-gurdy manufacturer, and it's between 2 workshops. And the other instruments that we have, so we have a person who builds bagpipes, and he just builds them, and we sell them. There's also a workshop that builds nickel harpas, and they work on their own, but we also sell them over our store. And we have some other instruments as well, but they sell way less than the others. So we are mostly focused on the hurdy-gurdy, and then we have a few different things as well. And also our merch is there, so that's a plus. That's, yeah, I think that's a good thing that we have our own online store and we can sell our merch there.
The funny thing about the fact that you sell merch at the same place where you sell the instruments is that people who like the band and want to buy merch will end up finding out about your business, and people
Yeah.
who want a hurdy-gurdy will end up finding out about your band.
Yeah, that's a cool place to just inform. Yeah, like you said, like the people who are interested in instruments, they can also maybe potentially like Lyrre and the other way around. So yeah, it is very, very interesting. Yeah.
And how's business going? Is it profitable?
Yeah, so I have to say that a business is difficult because the more you want to grow, the more you have to spend on it. So it's like it's this paradox. You have a lot of money maybe at one point, but then you want to develop your company. So instead of buying a house, you put this money in the company, and it's like to keep it going, you just have to feed it money.
Yeah.
It's going well, but it's not like we are super rich out of this, right? It's not crazy. So but it allowed us to have a band, which is another very, very expensive endeavor. And the band is like a company, it just eats up money. And to be able to present a band on a decent level nowadays. So if you start a band and you want it to be decent and you want people to listen to it, then it needs a lot of money up front. And so it's all connected, and it all works in a similar way. But yeah, we are happy with it. We are the most important thing with our store is that I know how hard it was for me to get my first hurdy-gurdy, and I know how hard it was in general before. Because you always had to contact this one person that maybe answered your email, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they picked up the phone, or maybe not. And maybe you never got an answer from them, and you can never get your hurdy-gurdy that you really, really want. And I was once this person that wanted the hurdy-gurdy. And then we were like, okay, let's do it easy. 21st century version of the hurdy-gurdy store. So you can just click through everything. You can customize online. You can just put this instrument in your cart. You don't even have to talk with us. You can talk with us if you want to, then you're welcome to talk with us. We have the customer service on the website as well, like the email, the phone number. And that's just it. We are just very excited to provide people with the instruments that they dream of, because the hurdy-gurdy is an instrument that you dream of. It's not so easily available, and it's like, wow, one day I want to have hurdy-gurdy.
This is really awesome. So you have single-handedly modernized hurdy-gurdy music and hurdy-gurdy production.
Well, probably I think so. I think we are the only company that does it through a store like this. So that's definitely very modern approach. And in music as well. Yeah. You're right. I agree with you.
That's a title you can use.
Oh yeah. The modernizer. Yeah. What I don't know. Yeah, something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to work on it.
Exactly. Okay. We have to work on it a little bit. I agree.
Okay. Last question to wrap this up. I've always referred to the hurdy-gurdy like this, and I want to know if you agree. Do you agree that the hurdy-gurdy is a cranky fella?
Yeah. Yes, I do agree. It's very cranky. It's it is for an inanimate object. It is very. It has many different moods that it can be in. So sometimes it's cooperative, sometimes it's not cooperative, and sometimes you are just fed up with it. Sometimes it's happy and you enjoy working with your hurdy-gurdy, and sometimes it's just a pain. So yeah, definitely, it's very cranky. I totally agree.
I love the description because it also has a crank.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's true. It's
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah. Say
Yeah.
if you were saying anything.
No, I was just saying that it's perfect, and it's also like multi-dimensional because it's the crank is, you're right, it's part of the instrument, and also it's perfect. I like it. Yeah.
Thank you. And on that note, also thank you very much for this interview. This is everything I had to ask you.
All right. Thank you so much as well. It was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Likewise. And to everyone watching, thank you very much for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed your stay, and we love to see you back at the Windmill very soon.
Yeah. Thanks.